Welcome to the WTF podcast. My name is Molly Smith, and I'm on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk, but more importantly, how to pivot out of it. By tuning in today, you've joined me on this mission, and I am so grateful that you are here. Friends, my guest today has an astonishing story that will challenge what we think we know about resilience, perspective, and the human capacity for transformation. From being wrongfully convicted of first-degree murder and incarcerated for 18 years to becoming an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and emotional breakthrough expert, Dr. C.S. Wilson carries a wisdom forged in a season that most of us can't imagine. And today, we are talking about how perspective, purpose, and connection to a higher power can carry you through even the longest season of the funk and into a life that feels aligned, meaningful, and free. Please join me in welcoming Dr. C.S. Wilson to the WTF podcast. Hey, friend, how are ya?
Hey Molly, how are you? You really delivered that. Like I want to package you up, take you on the go with me. Yeah, beautiful, great energy,
Oh,
great
thank you.
podcast of substance. Yeah, we're so happy that you're doing this.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I have been excited to record this for a little while, and so and I know
Mhm.
our listeners are going to be absolutely floored by your story. But
Absolutely.
let's get it started. So I
Sure.
stated up in the intro that you were wrongfully incarcerated for 18 years. So I want to take you back to when you were entering prison at the age of 17. What did you believe your future was going to look like?
Yeah, so at 17-year-old, you're still a teenager. Your mind isn't really fully developed. So essentially, all you know is what you grew up on, what you heard. And then it's a time that those things are tested. So I kind of just like, you don't even think long term as a teenager. So it really is always described entering prison like the walking dead. Cause it's just like a numbing hurt that doesn't go away. It's just gnawing at you. And so you really can't, your perspective is just the day in front of you because you don't have the grace. You don't know what it is to be in there multiple days, multiple weeks, multiple years, and not know when you're going to get out. So you have inside a belief that this isn't real, like this isn't happening. I didn't do this, so justice will prevail. So that just kind of clouds everything. It really is a funk that it really is. It's like the kind that you at the moment you can't shake because you haven't lived long enough to deal with that. You're not matured enough. You don't know a higher power long enough. You're a teenager. So it was something else for real.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, with everything around you suggested that your future was gone, because what was your actual sentence?
So I'm sentenced to 88 years with 58 suspended. Yeah. So I was sentenced to more time in prison than I had been alive on the earth. That's an active sentence of 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you choose to place your focus in those early years when you were in prison?
Yeah, so my dad was a pastor of like 20 something years. I was just like raised in the church. I was a pew baby, what
Yep.
they call it. And so I just kind of like turned to God and I knew miracles were possible. And I knew that I had to guard my focus. I've learned that the highest priority in any crisis is to gain perspective.
Mm.
And so, like, to have hope, like, that's all you have in there. So either choose to have that and have a glimmer of hope, have faith, have some belief, or you just gnaw away and the time just would eat at you. And that's what you find with a lot of people in there. They never shake away from that funk. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were in those early days and you've got the faith that you were raised with, and of course it's becoming very real when you're
Yeah. Yeah.
wrongfully incarcerated.
Mhm.
When you were in at the beginning, did you immediately start working towards your release? How did that work?
Yeah, so when you're first incarcerated, there's a trial period, but they keep you locked up because of the serious nature of the crime.
Mm.
And so you kind of don't know how it's going to turn out. So you're essentially for the first year, you basically like you're fighting the case to prevent the sentence that I ultimately ended up having. So I just
Mm.
remember, having different lawyers and just not knowing how it was going to turn. But I just kind of felt like purpose and destiny and callings, they know no imprisonment. They have no barriers, so purpose doesn't stop. Yeah, and so it was just kinda like in me to not let what was around me keep me down, and I think that's why I was for any level or degree of effectiveness that I was in there and helping people, it came from that mindset, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so tell us what you did while you were in prison, because you accomplished quite a bit. Like, it's absolutely flooring. So tell us a little bit, and when did that start in your within your 18-year sentence?
Sure, yeah, so, a few years after I was incarcerated, it was a college Kingsway Bible College, fully accredited, and they had just started a program. It's in Danville, Virginia. They had just started a program where they would do correspondence, so people could get their degree through correspondence. You know, you just write the papers, yeah, read the books, and so I was able to do that. Took that on. A few years later, I went all the way up and got my doctorate from Evangel Christian University in Monroe, Louisiana. Yeah, my fingers still hurt now from all the papers I had to write. Yeah.
No
All
computers,
correspondence,
all
no computers.
handwriting.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
you got your bachelor's degree and worked and got your PhD all while you
Yes,
were in.
ma'am.
What else
All
besides your
incarcerated.
education did you focus on while you were there?
Yeah, so, I mean, I wrote a book published by TBN, who at the time was the largest Christian network in the world, and it's
Yep.
humbling, but it's just a testament to, like, the resilience of mankind, what's on the inside of them. That's what my TED Talk is gonna be about, like, the butterfly is inevitable. Yeah, so the caterpillar, it doesn't really exist, it's just a phase in the life of the butterfly,
Yeah.
and if you choose to believe that, you can come out of any funk, you can manifest any dream, and you can birth any reality, yeah.
I love that. Tell me, what story did you have to stop telling yourself in order to stay grounded while you were in?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I probably did like 100 interviews. I don't think I've ever had that one. That's amazing. So say it again. What
What
story
story did you have to stop telling yourself in order to stay grounded while you were in?
that it would end here, that the judges say so would be the final say so. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I ended up doing 17 years, 11 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, and that's because I was pardoned by Governor Ralph Northam. Yeah, I had an affidavit saying I didn't do it, but before all of those things were in the work, it's what the judge said. That was 88 years with 58 suspended. So the judge has said 30 years. That's his jurisdiction. She has the right to give you that, whether it's wrong or not. It would
Mm,
be years later before Governor Ralph Northam in Virginia say, no, Virginia got it wrong and pardon me. So that prevails the story that this is it and this is all you'll be. So in prison, you're just a number. So
mm,
for almost 18 years, I was just number 10, 39, 28, 1. And that's the prevailing mindset there. You're not even human. And I understand. So I always say, when I do interviews, like prisons are built for a reason. You have people to do wrong. And like
sure.
society needs, yeah, judgment in a sense. But sometimes the system gets it wrong. And so I remember doing the interview with the 700 Club, and they said, "Hey, Pat Roberts wants to run the club, and but we don't have the footage of where you were bitter. We got 6 hours, but we don't have recorded where you talk." And I said, "No, I wasn't. Like you got it right. Yeah, it's beneath me to be. It's like I don't because I refuse to tell myself that story in there that this would be it. Yeah,
Yes. Well, and I wanna make sure the listeners catch this. There was an affidavit in 2010
2010, correct? Yeah, yeah,
2010 that
yes,
said that CS was innocent of the crime.
right,
And
right.
then and so at that point, did you think, "Hey, this is the thing that I've been waiting for. I'm gonna get like, they're gonna see this and they're gonna release me."
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think this is where my story is layered that many kind of don't get. They call Virginia the dark horse of litigation.
Okay.
So it's you get in trouble there, it's hard to get out of it, right, wrong, indifferent. And so
Mhm.
correct. In 2010, I had that. I remember we hired a lawyer. This was it. This was time to celebrate. And we filed a petition, nothing worked. So while we were there, nothing worked. This really does speak to the power of
Mm,
perspective and
mm,
believing that ultimately you would triumph. Because everything was turned down, what they call writ of mandamus, writ of actual innocence, petitions for clemency, everything. Virginia Support Court of Appeals, Supreme Court of Appeals, and the Circuit Court. No one would hear because it's almost like they trust the system. And
Sure.
so it would be years. That was 2010, and it wasn't until 2020, April the 2nd, that I would ultimately end up being released by Governor Ralph Northern. Yeah.
Wow, that is truly remarkable that it took that long from the time you had that
Yeah.
affidavit. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to know how your connection to a higher power carried you through the darkest moments of this season.
Yeah. So it was that while I was there, I was the inmate pastor, so it's like my relationship with God grew. Yeah, it was. So every day I'm praying, every day I'm reading, and you're strengthened on the inside for that. So that
Yes.
perspective that you're fighting for every day, it's the relationship with the higher power that keeps that intact. Because when you like in prison, you wake up to full walls. So anything you can experience in society, you experience it times 10 in prison because
Mhm,
it's on top of being incarcerated, so
mhm.
you're without
Sure.
the emotional support of family, you're without the financial support in many regards, without the physical support. So it's that relationship is really what kept me sane. And yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, did you have a knowing that you were gonna be exonerated, that you were gonna be released?
Yes, and only because you have to. So, like, there's no alternative. So
Okay.
to earn a PhD in there, to be productive, to help people, to pray for people, to counsel family members and inmates and correctional officers, you have to believe that, or else you'll be, because the mind is bombarded by the reality. The reality is what's there today. The
Yes.
reality is the sentence that the judge gave you. So you have to choose to believe. But that really speaks to like the human potential of getting out of a funk if you have no one. Like you can connect to God and it's really in you. So like what's in you won't let what's around you stay the same. So we can
Yes.
come out of anything. Yeah, it's so true.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Why was it important for you to live in such purpose before you were freed? I mean, you
Mm.
education, you were the prison pastor. I think you hold the record for the most baptisms
Baptism, yeah.
in that
Virginia
facility.
Department of Correction, yeah.
Oh, so like you truly did live on purpose while you were
Yeah.
incarcerated. Why was that important for you?
Yeah, well, I think it's just kind of like the gifts and callings are without repentance. So it's like you don't get to leave that behind. Purpose doesn't get incarcerated. It knows no
Yes.
boundaries. It knows no delay. So purpose is never held back, regardless of where you are.
Yeah.
And so, a bird sings, regardless of where it is. It's in it to sing. That's its function. And so it's almost kind of just like tapping into who we are to be in the earth. That was my mindset that, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. So it's kind of like you just wake up, you put one foot in front of the other, and because of the connection with the higher power, it just like
Yeah.
everything around you benefits. So it's just the best expression of yourself wherever you are. And my personal belief is that when your assignment is completed, then you go to the next season, So
That's
I
right.
believed that I would be released, and it's kind of just like I know I got to do everything that I'm supposed to do while I'm here. And I think that's what holds so many people back. We're looking to the next job, the next career move, or the next relationship in life, the next place that I'm supposed to be, the next property, when like the human makeup is to help people now, like where you are, and in doing that, you just kind of find the new job is assigned to that because of the
Yes.
value that you added to yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that. Okay. I want you to tell the story about what ultimately led to your
Mm.
release, because I think if this isn't a phenomenal story about tuning into your creator divine, your higher power, I don't know what is. So please
Yeah.
share with our listeners this story because it's
Sure,
truly
sure.
amazing.
So it was November 19th, 2019. It's like a hard time for me. So in that place, there are ebbs and flows, there are good
Mm.
days, bad days. And all those around you, many of those around you, I would say they're experiencing down days. This is a down day for me. So I remember praying. I heard one name come up on the inside of me. It wasn't an audible voice, but I sensed it. I heard it in
Yep.
my spirit. It was Birdie Jameson. And I knew she was a friend of my parents. I never personally met her, but she was a retired judge in Richmond, Virginia. I didn't know my mother hadn't spoken to her in over a calendar year. So I
Okay.
hear the name, I go get on the phone. I said, "Mom, know what it is? I think it's gone, but I think we're supposed to reach out to Birdie Jameson." I had a petition for clemency in at the time. So the only person that could release me from this unjust prison sentence was the governor of Virginia at that time, Governor Ralph Northam. So my mother texted her. She said, "Hey, Christopher just wants to know, see if you knew anyone in the governor's office that, he just needs attention on his case. He just believes people look at it, they'll see, they'll know." So 30 minutes later, she called my mother. She said, "Terry, what made you call me then? It must have been God. When you text me, I was sitting in front of the governor." And she said, "The governor said, and what you said is true. We'll investigate those claims and we'll get Christopher out of there." And that was November the 19th, 2019, April the 2nd, 2020. I was released into society. Yeah, it's like a
Oh my
dream.
I've got such chill bumps. I've got such chill
Yeah,
bumps about that. Okay,
yeah,
so that name was impressed upon you. You acted
yes,
on it, and that
yeah,
began the series of events of the
yeah.
investigation into your case that ultimately led to your release.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
absolutely. You
That is
can't put that together. Yeah.
no way, no way. Like, you can like, it's if anybody doubts the presence of a higher power, like, this story is such a beautiful example
Yeah.
of exactly how it works. Those
Yeah.
impressions, those knowings that you receive, they aren't random. They're
Right.
specific and
Right.
intentional. And a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
times I think that we bypass that or we ignore it or we write it off. But what
Yeah.
if people just took a minute to say, so and so just came to my mind, maybe I should reach
Yeah.
out. You never
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
post release, so you've been out going almost 6 years, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Going on 6 years. Yeah.
Okay, what has happened in your life in the last 6 years?
Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of almost like it still does feel like a dream. So well, I just found out me and my wife we're pregnant. We're having a boy. Yeah, so that's so amazing, and that's like the cherry on top. So I've been able to
Of
start my own
course.
tech company, and I get to travel a little bit and speak, and so life is just kind of like a dream really does describe it, because for so long you're in there and you don't know if you're going to get a chance to be here. That's just the
Yeah.
dawning reality. You lose so many years there, and it just really is within this 5 year span. I've had exceedingly abundantly more than I can actually think. A couple properties, I mean, dream vehicles. It's just get to tell people about my book. We got a Zoom call next week about the rights to the movie, the story of my life. So yeah,
They're gonna
coming to
make
the
you into
big
a movie,
screen.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be there on
Yeah.
opening day for sure. For somebody who is in a funk right now and feels trapped by their circumstances, what do they need to hear?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I would say first that seasons change. It doesn't the reason it's a season because it has an end date.
Mhm.
The valley only exists because it is between two mountains. And so that you're going to give birth. It's not going to stay the same. And that mindset has to be there. You got to resolve to believe that ultimately you triumph, ultimately good will prevail. And that helps you have the strength to endure what you're going through now. And it's possible. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who you are, man, woman, child. It goes beyond skin color. It's whoever chooses to believe that you can make it, and the story doesn't end there. You just got to believe it's not going to. And
Yes,
that's the power of it. It's kind of just like how the high power designed the world, that you
yes.
speak words and it creates the world that we inhabit. Yeah.
Amen. I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, hey,
Yeah,
friends, if this
man.
episode resonated with you, I want to encourage you to share it. I believe that there are so many ways that we can help people pivot out of the funk just by sharing stories of just resilience and grit and hope. So share this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.